the defense is allowed to show up in one of these games and make a play for him too. Somebody else is allowed to make a play on the offense other than him.
Did you check the rule book for that, though?
I did check the rule book.
Oh,
look at you.
Okay, there we go. You checked the rule book.
He checked the rule book. Yo, what's up? It's Chris Simms. It's Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Ahmed Fareed is here. It is our last pod for a little bit, okay? Before our little break, and thank God Ahmed wore his red pants one last time for the folks out there, for me, the masses. But yeah, we're here. And yeah, I did check the rule book. You are allowed to wear your red pants today, so good job by you there. And look at me in my green polo today.
I know, a lot of color.
But damn, it's like it's getting to that end of the school year.
Oh, we're there.
It feels good. My energy's there.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, right. The NBC's asking me to do a little something after the pod, and I'm like, why did I say yes to this? Because my mind is already going to vacation, right? But nonetheless, we're gonna have fun today. Talk this out. Take some questions, right? And hit on our quarterback series that we've been talking about for the last month.
You know, some people would tell me, I checked the rule book, you can go a day without wearing the red pants, too. People have said that. They go, man, you wear those a lot. And I go, I really don't. They just stand out when I do.
Exactly right. And I always point them out when you do.
And you always point them out.
Yes. Right.
Everyone actually points them out. When I'm like horse racing, they're like, are you wearing those red pants again? I'm like, I do
we
like
made it
the
a
color.
thing.
Yeah.
We made it a thing.
But I had to for this one. This is like the season finale.
It is.
We're basically like season finale.
Season finale. We don't know when we're going to ever see you again because you're Johnny NBC, Mr. Peacock guy, and you're going, you got a little break, and then it's right to the Olympics, and then the Paralympics, and you're going to be doing college football and stuff. So, just, hey, whenever you can get around to being my friend and working with me again, just let me know.
Playoffs.
Just,
I'll be back in playoffs.
That's who you are. You're the playoff guy. You just show up for big-time football.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is off-season style. You don't need it. Even regular season for me, maybe you don't need that either. No, it will be a little bit of a break, but we've got a good one to end here because we got the homies questions. And the noise we have, I like that because it gets our brains going in places.
It does. I've tried not to look at the questions
too
because I just want to answer them raw. I don't want to be rehearsed or anything like that. So just as I do with our quarterback grips, I'm not trying to be a cheater or do that. I like to have fun right here on the screen. And if I'm an idiot naturally, which I usually am, then so be it.
This is a lot of pressure for you because we're going to start with What's My Grip. It's the game show that's been sweeping the nation. And you are 19 for your last 19.
Damn, am I? Is it that many? Wow.
And so you can end on a 25 straight completion streak.
This is going to be
with your grips.
I don't know if there's some ones here. Like the other days, I was like, I think I kind of know how all these guys grip it, right? And of course, as we're seeing so many grip the same exact way, it gets you a little confused. And you're like, oh, no, I just got to figure out whose hand that is. That's the same grip. I don't know. These ones, there's one or two here that I'm not sure if I really do know how they grip. And I'm going to be interested to see if I get this right.
Okay, so here we go. To refresh your memory, your top 6 quarterbacks are Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. That's in reverse order.
Oh, my gosh.
From 6 to 1.
Wow.
And so here are a lot of hands on the football.
All right, I think
look at that B. I just want to look at the B grip is interesting now.
I think, all right, so here, let's go right up. A is Lamar Jackson. Right,
Lamar Jackson, and that's a little bit different.
Well, he's like 1 and under 4,
but
has that middle finger close to that ring finger that we talked about a little bit, like with Tua. Now Tua's middle finger's on the lace, his is just above it. But it is. We don't see any other quarterbacks in the top 6 here where the ring finger and the middle finger are that close together.
No.
Okay. B.
Wow. So you're right on Lamar.
I'm right on Lamar.
You're right on
B.
him.
I am pretty sure is Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Right.
Wow, that's Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. That's why he can throw that damn thing like a baseball.
What is he on
So
there?
he's really like 1 and 3, right? And this one tier 2, and again, I think that's where he is right there is 1 and 3, right? So he's really up there. Not to mention too, because I talked about this with him when I was with them last summer a little bit. He has got not necessarily the longest hands in the world. He has got some incredibly wide hands. He has got, as you can kind of see there, his palm, it's a lot like mine, actually, because when we measured hands and did that, he's got just a wide, strong hand. So you got to have a pretty strong grip to grip the ball that high up on the ball,
100%.
like we're seeing, right? Because even though it's smaller, to still be able to control it that way and do that, But I would say out of anybody we've seen yet, 1 and 3, that high up the ball, well, that just tells you why he can do some of that baseball stuff and make it look so natural and looks like a shortstop at times.
There is no one else in the NFL currently with a grip like Patrick Mahomes.
I don't think there is.
We haven't seen it.
No. Well, the odd thing is he's one of the few people that's got 2 fingers on the laces that we talked about.
That's true.
Right? It's not under. It's actually 1 and 3. And then that's kind of old school, as we've talked about, right? So, that's pretty damn good right there.
Wow.
Now, this is where I'm not sure I know this. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. I'm going to say C because I think he slants the ball this much is Justin Herbert. Right?
Correct. You are correct.
Justin Herbert.
10-inch hands, 80th percentile. Those are some pretty big mitts.
Yep.
And it looks like he is 1 and under 5.
Right? So
I don't think we've seen that.
That's a little different, right? We know we've seen 1 and under, but usually 1 and under 4, 1 and under 3. 1 and under 5, well, it speaks to what you just talked about. His hands are gigantic.
Yeah.
It's one of the bigger ones. So he can really stretch it out and cover the ball with still only having one hand on the lace. And, like we talked about, I think it was Kyler Murray, right, a few weeks ago, where we were, like, the way they slant the ball in their hand
right.
to get the angle in their hand that way. I mean, it's like this sometimes. It's almost like this, and I'm amazed by it, and I see Herbert be like that. But again, I think what it does is it locks people's wrist in there and allows them to really spin the ball.
Do you think his middle finger hovering above the football is how he actually throws?
No,
or no?
I think he's like in the process of re-gripping right there,
Okay.
or just like, kind of like I put it in my hand and I'm just stretching them out one more time to get my hand all the way on there,
Sure,
right?
okay.
I think that's what he's doing. D is Matthew Stafford, right? D is Matthew Stafford.
Hold on. Oh, Pete, dramatic pause. Yes, it is. You are
Okay,
correct.
I didn't hear him in my
That
ear.
was like
I
Who
don't know
Wants
what
to Be a
happened there.
Millionaire, where it's just like boom, boom, boom.
D
Am I
is
right?
Matthew
Ding.
Stafford, all right, and he's got some longer fingers, as you can see there too, and he looks like he's 1 and under 4, which is a very popular grip.
Yep.
And the thing about it, I always find interesting about Matthew Stafford, not the grip. Of course, we know the great arm and all that, but when he holds the ball, he's one of the few that kind of puts the bottom point of the ball away from him. You don't see it as much right here. Right? But it's almost like this more, where more guys are like this here. He kind of keeps it like this. And for some reason, I think it helps him with his pulling away of the football to do it that way. All right, so now we're done.
So you're this is it. It all comes down, will you have a perfect 25 for 25? We're down to 2 more hands, and we have Joe Burrow and we have Josh Allen.
Right.
2 of your most favoritist quarterbacks
Right.
in the NFL.
Right.
Now and of all time.
I know. Yeah, seriously, they're my favorites. I mean, I love these too.
I think I know.
I think I do too. I'm pretty sure E is Burrow and F is Josh Allen.
You've done it. You have done it. You've gone 25 for your last 25.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You know your quarterback's hands.
Damn. And I'm actually impressed, and I got a little lucky, and of course it helped out that some hands were black and some were white. That helped me along the way as well, because back in the old days, right? Elway, Aikman, some of those guys, I knew their grip. These guys, it's like I'm not trying to play in the NFL anymore, so I don't try to copy everything.
Yeah.
I kind of just go with wait, I think he grips it like this. I think he grips it like that. But yeah, put that graphic up one more time.
Here's the interesting thing with as Pete knows, that Joe Burrow and Josh Allen have the same grip there.
Same
it looks
grip.
like it's 2 and under 5.
Right? And really spread out hand.
Josh Allen's hands are in the 86th percentile. Joe Burrow in the 8th percentile.
I know, and we talked about this.
Burrow. Don't trust the numbers
Don't
necessarily.
trust the number. Burrow's hand is big. You could see right there his fingers are long.
Yeah.
It's the flexibility in the thumb that is where it really is the big difference. It's, if you put Allen and Burrow's hands together, I've shook both their hands. I've also played handsies with them to see whose hand's bigger, right? And they're both like, I think Allen was maybe a smidgen bigger than me, and Joe Burrow was like almost dead even with me. But again, Allen, I could see, could do his thumb like I can, and Joe Burrow's thumb is a little bit less flexible and attached to his the rest of his hand that way.
If you're a college coach, you could moneyball that a little bit, right? Just go find quarterbacks who have like hand sizes that don't measure the traditional way as big,
right? And
measure
then
the fingers,
right? And go, yeah, I think we're onto something. Oh yeah, you guys shouldn't recruit that guy. His hands are small
hands,
right?
And
exactly.
so then you
right.
end up getting the quarterbacks with long fingers but still can't throw the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think what's really cool, and me as a history nuance guy, and you know how much I love old quarterbacks and all of that, and I grew up with Elway and Montana and Marino and that whole crew, Troy Aikman, right? Troy Aikman took over for my dad. It's just interesting to see that we saw everybody except quarterback number 1.
Yep.
Right? Everybody is under with that pinky. And that was just not a thing when I was growing up. Nobody was. I mean, we discussed this when my dad was on the pod. You know, everybody had the ring finger and the pinky finger over the laces, and now it seems like nobody does.
I think we have that picture from when you were talking about it with your dad, the throwback quarterbacks, because I mean, we're going to get to our grips here in a second.
Yeah.
I'm a more traditional quarterback,
much
like Joe Montana.
Right.
And Dan Marino.
There you go. But, I mean, look, there's Hostetler, Simms, Montana, Marino, Elway. Every one of them, both fingers on the laces, right?
And not just on. We're talking like to the knuckle.
Yeah, exactly.
To the second
on.
knuckle.
It's not like barely touching. It's on. Like Elway is the only one that maybe has just like barely touching on there, but still, it's on there. The other ones, you're right, are completely over. Montana is like almost getting down to the balls of his fingers there. Really, how far he's got it jammed in his hand there, and also, within that too, and the grip and all of that and everything you do, right? There is nuance in you grip it really tight. Okay, yeah, you control the ball and you can really manhandle the ball, but the problem with gripping it really tight is that usually the guys that grip the ball really tight have a hard time throwing the ball in the rain. I was one of those. I want to smash the ball in my hand. I'm going to hold this thing, and you can't take this thing out of my hand no matter what, and I'm going to just control it and manhandle it and throw it as hard as I freaking can no matter where.
Oh, you think so? And then let's sprinkle a little water on there. No.
And then it becomes,
how tough are you?
Then it's like, oh, shit. Oh, whoa. I got to lighten my grip. But like Elway.
Because it just squirts out.
It just squirts out because you're a gripper. And when of course, anything that's wet, and of course, it is a bigger object, the ball can squirt out of your hand when you over grip it. Elway, Super Bowl in Miami, going to play the Atlanta Falcons. Last game he ever played, right? This is straight from the Shanahan's mouth. Ooh. They were nervous as hell because it was rainy time of the year in South Florida, and there was rain in the forecast. And they were like, oh my gosh, can this game hurry up and kick off? Because if it starts raining in the second half, John can't throw the ball in the rain.
Wow.
And we need to get this game in and hurry up. And the game finished, and from my understanding is it downpoured there, right?
Who was their backup quarterback at the time?
I think it was still Bubby Brister at that time.
Imagine that.
During
Fourth
the
quarter drive, it's raining. They pull Elway.
Right,
last
like
game,
they put in Bubby
Brister.
Right? seriously.
But he wins it for him.
But yeah, I mean, again, we saw the Colts-Bears Super Bowl in South Florida, same time of the year. Of course, it had rain, right? So that was an issue, but that is part of it. And interesting, these new age grips.
J. Gino Red A99 says, Pete Demolitis, how have you guys not pointed out the insanity that is Troy Aikman's grip yet on the pod? The laces are pretty much in his palm.
Right.
So let's rectify that. You mentioned him a couple times. Well, let's see it.
No, and it is a great recognition here by our man at Gino Red A99. It really is, though, because
we're making you wait for it.
remember. I mean, Troy Aikman, for me, when my dad retired, Troy Aikman took over as my dad's replacement. Right? He was like my stepdad. I was like, damn, I'm rooting for him, and I was mad at the Giants. Right? So all of it, but
oh my gosh,
yes. First off, look at his meat hooks for hands. Troy has got gigantic hands, and he has the Chris Simms really flexible thumb. Like next time you guys watch Monday Night Football and he comes on TV with Joe Buck, everybody look at Troy Aikman's hand and his thumb. It looks comical sometimes how he talks when he starts talking with his hands. Yeah. You're like, wait, is that hand like pasted on him? Is that real? It is an enormous hand. He's here at Giants Stadium right here. I know that for sure. Right? I could see that, and I think that's 1992, if you made me guess right.
Do we have the actual measurements on Troy Aikman's hand?
I know, because you're looking at it.
I am looking
huge,
it up
right
now. I'm just like, it's not even possible.
But can you believe like that? And I mean, he literally is like almost no the fingers are not even on the laces. It is the balls and of the
palm of the hand.
The hand on there, really.
Jeez.
And from all due accounts, too, and I think I've heard Troy say this as well, because Troy is a gripper of the football like I was telling you I was. I think he had a hard time throwing the ball in the rain as well. I don't think it was his forte. He had to adjust a little bit.
J. Gino Red A99 has another comment for us. He goes, I moved to an under grip a few years ago. It was 2 and over 4, went to 2 and under 5 to get that angle higher on the back of the ball. Seemed to suit a more compact motion and allow the ball to spin more naturally when I was a kid trying hard to make it spin.
I can see that, how that is. I think that's the logic there. I love all these these things you're picking up there at J. Gino Red A99. Really, you're on it. And I think that's why a lot of players do it, because it does kind of force you to take your hand and wrist out from being sloppy, right? Yeah. And because of that, I think you feel like you got to, okay, wait, I can't quite manhandle it with my hand the same way, so I got to be real consistent with my mechanics and keep it tight, because if I start letting my arm flop everywhere, then the ball might slip out of my hand a little bit. And I think there is something to that. Now, what I didn't like or don't like about that is that, I feel like I lose some freedom in my arm at times. But I do recognize what our man Jay Gino's saying here, and the fact that you can really spin the ball that way. With that one finger on the lace, and you really follow through the right way, it'll make it spin noticeably different. There's no doubt about that, unless you're totally perfect with your mechanics like an Elway or Aikman were, where I don't give a shit what they gripped it like. They were going to throw spirals. Like, I can tell you that.
So we would never ask the homies to do anything that we are not ourselves willing to do. So we said, well, let's see your grips out there. And a couple of homies sent their grip in. I think maybe one.
Damn, homies.
It's just embarrassing. They don't want to get ripped on. They've seen you and your harshness at times. So, but me and my son, we participated in this. So last night, Pete was like, hey, send us your grip. And so this is me and Cooper holding the football. Now, this is a flag football, so it's a smaller football, but probably for him, the size that an NFL football is to Cooper's on the left there. What do you think of his grip?
So he's following he's doing it. He's right. He's 2 and under 5.
I did not even tell him that. I did not say that's the new grip that's sweeping the nation.
I mean, I got to think this is just naturally happening with kids.
Yeah.
I don't know how or why, but it is. And there you are. You're kind of Tua-ish.
I'm Tua-ish.
You're Tua-ish.
With only one, and I did when I played high school football. I had my index finger was off the laces, and then my middle finger was on the laces.
It did touch the lace. Here, wait. Let me see you now. Let me go to the real football here. Can you still do it the same way? Don't look at the ball. Just grab it naturally. Catch it and grab it. Right. Let me see. All right. So here we are. Oh yeah. So you definitely are. Right. So you're 1 and 3 and under 6.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're very Tua-ish there with a NFL football.
The problem was when I would get towards the point, and I tried that a few times, I would feel like my elbow sometimes would get in, and then it would duck it. I would duck it. It would be like the Tim Tebow throw in that one practice.
I can see that. Well, after seeing the video of your throwing motion, I can see why that would happen a little bit. So here we go.
We do have. I did see, and I'll regret this as well. This is why the homies did not do this.
You had no choice.
I had no choice. I had to do it. So here was my throw in my front yard. And so,
beautiful.
Lawn's looking pretty good. Got a little cone there doing agility drills.
I mean, you got a nice fluid motion.
Not bad, right?
Not bad at all. I mean, it really isn't. You know, I like where you start with the ball up high underneath the chin, 2 hands on the football. Yeah. Now, your takeaway, as I joked with you on the text a little bit, is a little Justin Fieldsy.
Okay. In what way?
And the way that it just kind of starts through the elbow a little bit. You kind of pull away and then get to this right away. Where I'd say, again, a lot of guys get to this, but more times than not, it kind of happens through I'm taking the ball away, and then it kind of happens that way, right? And, I could see why, you're being very traditional and, having a high release and getting over top of the ball. Where we would need to work on you is to go around more and don't worry about being quarterback 1994 style, right?
Am I opening up too soon?
Maybe opening up a little too soon and worried about the high release too much, which is where I could see if you had the bigger ball with your grip and the high release, now the ball's going to flutter because you're not quite coming across it the way you should, right? Okay. Again, really good throwers right now. If you're watching on YouTube and you watch me, it's here, it's Allen and Mahomes, and it's a crossover here, right?
Right.
I mean, You see Mahomes a lot of the times with some of his throws, it's like he's like this, especially when he warms up. He always across. You let your body kind of swing you into it. You let the arm react while keeping that angle, which you do keep an angle and you do well. But then you think about around more than up and down. But when we were growing up and down was how a lot of people taught you.
That was it.
You know, get up high, come down, release. Right?
And
follow through to your opposite hip or your opposite pocket.
Put your thumb there, yeah.
Exactly right. That was what we were taught. But throwing has evolved, and the game has evolved, and it's why we've talked about so much about these rankings of you got to throw the ball sidearm in weird angles.
Yep.
You know, there's too many Chris Jones and Myles Garretts of the world that are going to be big and aware and great athletes where if you think you're just going to throw a traditional, like, here I am throwing the ball like Johnny Unitas in 1962.
Well, you just don't have time, too, right? Because
you're not going to have enough
time to get your body in the perfect spot.
Exactly
and throw as perfectly as Ahmed Freed would have thrown in the 1950s if that's the current era. So is there any hope for Cooper? That's the question
Let's
here.
see I do like
Coops. He was more of a receiver.
He's got that Matthew Stafford hold
grip.
The point away.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's true.
That's what I thought at first. I was like, is he trying to? He's trying to do Matthew Stafford. I like his takeaway, and look, his follow through is better than yours as far as he comes across.
Now,
he bends over too much.
Yeah,
we got to work on Cooper staying a little taller and staying on that back leg a little longer, and then just rotate around instead of. But his motion. I like his motion.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And he's got a nice flexible arm.
I don't know where he learned that. He was watching TV.
That's right. He's been watching Matthew Stafford.
Listening to the pod. He's been doing that too. He's learned some words
Jared
from the
Goff.
pod too, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well done. All right, he's way ahead of where I am. That's what you want. You want your children to be ahead of where you
want the next generation to up the game a little bit.
Mike Mulia won. The one homie who was brave enough to send in his throwing motion. So Mike, I think we have that. Here we go.
Oh, I like it, Mike.
He's a professional.
I like it, Mike. Okay, Mike. Okay, Mike.
Mike.
All right, Mike. I like it. See, now, Mike, you saw Mike's follow through there? Mike had what we were talking about. Tight arm. Watch again. Yeah, let's see it again. Watch this again. I mean, look at he comes across nice. Yeah, keeps the arm really tight. I like all of that. I like his motion. I want to see it one more time, though, too, Pete. Now, I don't know where.
Give him one thing where he can improve.
Well, where are you fading to? First off, there's no pass rush, so just stay there, okay? Only thing I'd tell him is maybe just to turn that front shoulder a little bit more, loading up to throw the ball. But, man, everything else was pretty good. His feet were in pretty good spots. I mean, transfer of power was all right. I mean, I like it. Mike, if you just let that front shoulder swing back more, like I'll tell my son every now and then, show me your name on the back of your jersey as you're getting ready to throw, right? Really turn into it. Get there, right? Like John Elway. Remember John Elway pictures when we were growing up? You were like, damn, it almost looks like he can lick the Y on the back of his jersey, right? He'd be like cocked like this, just like, I'm ready to throw a laser. And, hey, that's, again, you see Mahomes. We show clips of Mahomes. You'll see, man, his chin hits his left shoulder at times because he can just let it wind and let his upper body create that torque from the lower body. Mike's got it a little bit, but I'm just saying if you want to throw it a little harder, Mike, you just turn into that a little bit more, and you'll be able to throw it a few extra mile per hour harder, and you'll be able to throw it a few yards farther.
Well, now I know why Mike was the only one to send in his throw, because that was
Mike
awesome.
was like, mine's pretty good, so I don't think they're going to be able to crap on me too much.
Highlight play.
Way to go, Mike. I like it, man.
But if there are any homies out there that now have seen that and want to throw your throwing motion on Twitter, Chris has got nothing to do here for the next 5 weeks.
And we like when we come back for doing pods in August, I'll be glad to show them and have some fun with it and tell you how bad or great you were.
Oh, so Patrick Mahomes is throwing stuff out there too. And
so
apparently he was. This is a tweet from the Chiefs account to the Royals. Says, "How's his form looking?" So here we go.
Look at him.
Oh, he's like doing the baseball stuff. He's like
he's throwing the knuckler,
like a Brett Saberhagen back in the days. Of
throwing the knuckler.
Sidearm.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure he could have been a Major League Baseball pitcher if he wanted to, as we know. And then, listen, Pete, I don't know if you can find anything else from their Twitter there of, like, real throws he had. I know we played a montage a little bit. I believe I saw a few throws yesterday. Let's show him again, if we can, just real quick, or if we have a second. Because there are some things about him, again, the gift and the curse with Mahomes is, of course, he can throw the ball. He's so gifted, he doesn't always need mechanics.
Yeah.
But as we know, even he needs mechanics. He does. And there was even a few throws yesterday I thought I saw on social media. There was one more, but yeah,
you
you'll
said
get
the
it.
one part of his game that maybe has taken a step back in the last couple of years is the quality of that deep ball.
Definitely. Teams in the league went so out of their way to go, oh my gosh, we got to take away the deep passing game, that they haven't even got enough reps at it in, game situations to where I think they got a little uncomfortable, and he's didn't quite, he's not quite as good as he was maybe at it the first 2 or 3 years we saw in the career. But I do think it's coming. I think it's coming. Like we talked about with these two guys they drafted, Andy Reid and Mahomes have both made comments over the last few weeks about we want to throw the ball down the field again. And I think it makes a lot of sense because we kind of talked about their offense. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it be a little Oregon Ducky this year, right? We saw a little of it last year. Last year it was run the ball and screens. This year I think you're going to see screens and deep passes. But look, I mean, again, his arm always comes across his body, right? Yeah. And I think there's a few more throws in this. And then, you see the shoulder turn there. That's not as much of one as you always see from him. But you see how that left shoulder rotates back and kind of gets underneath his chin, right? I think he even had a few more throws for the Rashee Rice that they showed
You're just
on
making
here.
our team back there just find as many Patrick Mahomes
I'm making
throws
him work
possible.
today. But, even that, right, drops his arm angle a little bit, right, just to help the angle of the throw, right, leading him. And, Mahomes, as we know, is just it's his poetry in motion.
So if we get more Mahomes throws, maybe we'll revisit that. But we don't have the exact measurement of Troy Aikman's hands.
Right.
We don't know how big they are. Maybe it's just
they're
like he
big.
never
big.
wanted it out there. He's
right.
just like, it's going to be a mystery around me. But we can show how big they are in comparison to some other things and people out there.
There's
an exhibit at the NFL Experience.
Look at his thumb. I'm telling you, watch him on Monday Night Football next time he comes on, and he's got the mic in his hand and the other hand's freelancing.
Yeah.
It looks comical. It looks cartoonish sometimes.
I mean, that does look like the hand of a child, though, so I don't know.
That hand on the left, I don't give a shit what that is.
That does look
gigantic.
Big. Yeah, so I just need a better comparison here.
Right, but yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that's a big. There's on the mic.
Okay,
he's hiding it though.
But
he doesn't want
he
it
has
out
one,
there.
where he's every now and then he starts to talk and he gets the hands going and you'll go. But I think nonetheless, the fact that they have something.
Okay, hold on. Here we go.
In the Hall of Fame.
These are the bronze hands. This is Bart Starr, Tom Landry, Roger Staubach. I mean, Troy's darts significantly.
Troy's are the biggest hands. I'm telling you. You're just going to have to trust me, okay?
You're
going to have to trust me.
I saw him on that football.
I have shaken a lot of Hall of Fame quarterbacks' hands, and Aikman and Brett Favre would be the two that always stick out in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Like I told you, like Aikman's are so big, they're thick, they're long. He's got a crazy long thumb. You're like, is that real or is that Chubb's wood thumb from Happy Gilmore? I don't even know, right? And then when I shook Brett Favre's hand the first time, I swear his middle finger was like halfway down my forearm, and I was like, damn, is he like tickling me? I was like, holy shit.
Why is he doing it? Yeah.
Smeagol's got long fingers there. I mean, it's incredible, and that's why, both of those guys could spin it with the best of them.
Yeah, we should get that measured, though, once and for all, because that's probably up there in the Guinness Book of World Records
it's up
area.
there.
Longest thumb
that thing
ever
is
known
gigantic.
to man, Troy Aikman.
I know.
All right, that was fun. And for you audio listeners of the podcast, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck
Go
with
back
that.
and look at YouTube or on Peacock because there's a lot of good
trust
visuals
us.
along with it. Yeah, just trust us. Except for the part where Chris said my throwing motion looked like Justin Fields and was not good. All right, so let's move on now. We're going to recap what we did with the top 40 quarterback countdown and then take your questions here. So why don't we start with the full list, 1 through 40. Now that it is all done, you're for the last time in 3 weeks, you are no longer ranking dudes. We'll start up again in the summer, I'm sure, at some point.
Or something.
As you sit here and look at your completed list,
yeah,
what do you think? What thoughts come to mind?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
we talked about your quality of the quarterbacks. There are a lot of good of them.
Yeah, the lot of good ones, definitely.
Like, who are you most? I don't know.
It's just that. Listen, the thing that I look at, that I still look at, and just go, I don't know, and it was very hard, is really that area from like 6 to 25. I found that to be very hard between differentiating between talent, who plays the position the right way,
right.
all of that. I think it even plays that same thing would play from my 11 to 14 area there.
Tough.
With Trevor and Jordan Love and
Close
Kirk Cousins
together.
and Aaron Rodgers. It's like, hey, wait, yeah, they might be able to play the position better, these guys, but these guys have more talent and more upside. Like, so that is the hard part of kind of trying to piece that together. And those areas right there were certainly the hardest.
Rank the 3 guys who you think potentially could make you look the worst. Here.
Oh, okay.
Like the 3 guys you're like, oh gosh, I could see this really, like they're going to have a great year, and then people are going to throw this up on social media and be like, you had Jarrett Stidham 40th?
Watson, I worry about. Deshaun Watson, right? Because I just worry about Deshaun Watson. Not that I've seen it any time recently, but, I mean, again, I know what he's capable of a few years ago before all the shit went down and, life wasn't so crazy for him with the off-the-field stuff.
So
That's
he's
definitely
24, as low as you've ever had him.
Definitely. I mean, I've been a huge fan of his, right? So that would be one for sure. Jordan Love would be another, almost for either way. I mean, a little bit, right? I mean, there's a part of me, hey, certainly there's a part of me that's like, wait, is it going to fall off? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, was that end of the season 2 interceptions, or am I being too kind, right? And then, but at the same time, also, I go, shit, he could be number 5 next year. He's got that type of talent, right? So that would be one that I was like a little scary, I would say. After that, I think I get into like Anthony Richardson. That's where I'd go. He was one of the hardest ones for me to figure out between raw talent, hasn't played a ton. What's it gonna look like? That would be the other guy I'd probably look at to go. He really scares me, and he can make me look foolish.
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams too. He's the highest ranked rookie you've ever had, and so if he doesn't come out and have a great year, maybe you're just like. But everyone's high on him, so it's not like you're on an island here.
Yeah. And then, again, that gets into the overall discussion, how we do this ranking, the overall discussion of, hey, if I had could pick these guys in order of who I'd want for the next 3 to 4 years, and all that type of stuff. Caleb Williams would be way up there, but yeah, he's rookie, he's raw. How long does it take him to adjust? Those are the things that are definitely hard about this exercise altogether.
Off the top of your head,
yeah.
What do you think your top 5 would be if I said top 5 quarterbacks for the next 5 years?
Oh, okay.
This is just off the top of your head.
Yeah.
And we're not going to hold you to this.
Right.
Mahomes is still 1.
I don't think the top 3 are really that much different.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in it for no matter what. I mean, we can discuss order or whatever else.
Mahomes, Allen, Burrow.
I
They're
think
in your
you're in
top
it.
5. Yeah, I like that. Who would be in the top 5 discussion here?
No doubt those. I'm going to take C.J. Stroud as the other one.
Yep.
Right. And it might be Caleb. How many years you said? Yeah, it might be Caleb. Yeah, I'd probably go Caleb. I probably would. I would overall, right? Again, I expect a lot of these rookies to, maybe not be at their peak game, but close to it at the end of year 2. You get into year 3 and you start to go, hey, it's year 3. This guy is what, hopefully with the right support and all that, again, he is what we thought he would be, and watch out. I think that would be, that's a tough one. But, yeah, I think that would probably be it. And that's no disrespect to, some guys like Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence and all of that. But I think it just tells you that I really do love Caleb Williams and what he brings to the table.
All right, so let's get to the homies questions here. We have a 2-parter from Jason Vernoff. Kind of wants to know about the process that you go through to put this list together.
Yep.
Number 1, he goes, do you watch every single throw of a quarterback from the previous season for your rankings? If not, how do you decide what throws to watch?
Right. That's the best question right there, Jason. I think here, my thing is I try to do 6 games. I do 6, right? I don't watch run plays. I don't really give a shit about that, right? So I just get right to the passes, and I usually try to do it this way. The 2 best, the 2 worst, 2 mediocre. I try to do that way.
How do you determine best and worst?
Well, I go by what I think. Again, I pull up the stats. I'll pull up quarterback rating, right, and all that.
You remember the game kind of?
I remember the game kind of exactly. And, I go, oh, this game will show me kind of what I want to see or what I need to see or whatever else. So it's not necessarily determined on, the top 2 quarterback rating games, right? But it's usually one of those 2 that's up there, right? But every now and then I'll go, oh, wait. Okay, this one was his highest rated game, game. This one was his 4th highest rated. But I want to see this because I remember this game. There was a lot of down the field throws. So I'd rather see this one than the game where he's the second, highest quarterback rating, where he might have, thrown a lot of short passes and been real precision like that. So that's kind of how I try to do it that way. And then go into the bad games and then try to find, hey, here's just a ho-hum game. And really, the bad games to the ho-hum games are things that I just try to look at to go, wait, let me remind me film of some things that bother me about these guys. And that's kind of what I look at that way. So that's usually my process.
I could imagine, though, sometimes the bad games, quote unquote, make you feel better about the quarterback.
100.
Yeah.
The bad games sometimes have even greater value because you'll come away and go, man, this guy's getting killed for this game. And then you look at it and you go, well, man, he really made a lot of great decisions. And really, wow. I mean, put the ball in some great spots. Not many people were open, right? He had a drop or two here or there. Right? Got hit as he was throwing another time. Damn, yeah. He did only throw for 52% in this game, but then you come away and go, but really he didn't. I mean, he just got a little unlucky and nobody helped him out, and I have no problem with that game. If that's his worst game, then shit, okay, he's pretty good, right? So, yeah, it does help you.
It's always how you frame it, which is a great way to put it. It's how much meat was on the bone. Like, did he take advantage of what was out there? If there wasn't much out there, maybe 52% was
the way to go to that day.
As well as you could do.
Right. Exactly right.
The second part of Mr. Vernoff's question was, what do you value in a quarterback more? Big-time throws when the play breaks down, or always correctly taking advantage of what is there to be had?
I think always taking advantage of what's there to be had, right? The big-time throws, to me, are more of like the icing on the cake, right? That's more of the big thing. And usually that's where the guys in the top 5 or top 6 separate themselves, because you go, okay, hey, guy number 9, take there what to be had. Takes there what to be had. Wait, here's one that's kind of there to be had, but you need to make a special throw here. This guy doesn't always do that. Oh, Mahomes and Allen? Well, nobody open. They took what's had. And then all of a sudden they make 3 or 4 throws where you just go, that changed the game, and nobody else can do that. And we're not even actually quite giving it the credit we deserve, or it deserves, because we're so used to it with them or whatever else. We just move on to other topics. But, yeah, usually that's what separates, some of these top tier guys right there.
And that's where you've always had your biggest differences of opinion with PFF, is because it's hard for a grading service to make that value judgment, and it's subjective. It's just like, yeah, it was a 50-yard play, but I mean, he didn't put it where he needed to put it. The guy was wide open.
Or he should have been an 80-yard touchdown, but the guy had to stop to catch the ball, and he got tackled, and now they kicked a field goal. Yeah. Where, hey, this quarterback, he throws it on the money every time, and the guy always runs in the end zone, right? And we kind of forget that. That used to be, I've had those arguments with people back in the day with certain quarterbacks and all that. Matt Schaub used to be that guy to me, where he had great stats and all that. And I go, yeah, Andre Johnson was wide open. Should have been an 80-yard touchdown. Instead, he got tackled at the 20, and they kicked the field goal. And the stats are great, and we all that. But I'm going, man, no, most quarterbacks would have a touchdown there, and the Texans would be up by 2 touchdowns or 3 scores here. Instead, they're in a dogfight now, right? And everyone, his stats, look at his rating, all that. And I'm going, well, yeah, but there was like 7 throws during the year that they win the game if he throws it a little bit better. They were still good throws, but if it came to that level, and you know the point I'm trying to make.
And I think we mentioned this a couple pods ago, I think we underrate the plays too by the scrambling quarterbacks, where they avoid the sack and still make the completion, because on the box score, it's just like, okay, completion. But no, it's like what you avoided, what could have been
what could
with
have
any
been.
other quarterback.
Exactly right. And that goes both ways. Sometimes it's like, wait, what could have been positive or negative, as we know. Sometimes I watch film and, I'll go, I remember this play. Man, this was an awesome play during the season. I remember. He scrambles, he runs, blah, 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 blah. But then I watch the film and I go, well, shit, that play wasn't as good as I thought it was. The guy down the middle was open for 30. Why the did he scramble and run and do that? Why was he looking at the rush, right? So it can go both ways in that way, and that's where watching the film and dissecting it really does help me out to, kind of figure those things out.
Got a question from head coach Farah2, says, how hard is it to prioritize, quote, physically gifted quarterbacks versus guys that play the position well? I feel like this would make the middle of your rankings difficult to decide.
This is what I was just saying, right? Yeah. That is the hard thing, right? Kirk Cousins plays the position of quarterback better than Trevor Lawrence, right? But not so much so right? It's not so much of a gap that Trevor Lawrence makes some of those throws where you go, whoa, like that was unreal. No way Kirk Cousins can make that throw, right? So, yeah, Kirk Cousins has got Trevor Lawrence and how he plays the position play by play, right? But it's not enough gap for me to go, yeah, but Kirk didn't hit this throw, and Trevor does, right? And it changes games. And I've seen Trevor have moments of going like, wait, nobody's open, nothing's happening. I can carry us with our great physical ability. So, yeah, that is, I mean, that led me into exactly what I was saying a few minutes ago. Really, that is one of the hardest things of valuing that and the playing of the game, the physical ability, right? Are we relying too much on physical ability sometimes and not playing the game the right way and always looking for the big throw and doing stuff like that? Like Baker Mayfield had that problem a little in Cleveland at one point, right? Whereas a guy where it's like, I love the ability. I love some of these throws. But damn, I mean, you know, he tries to throw it so hard and makes so many power throws all the time that he's leaving completions and things on the field, right? He's reined it into the perfect spot now. And that's where that can go, you know, both ways as far as that's concerned.
I think it's hard for anyone following football. And you think about it because I had this argument with people in San Francisco when Trey Lance was being drafted. And they go, how could you ever want a Mac Jones over a guy like Trey Lance? Just because the tools in the tool shed, the clubs in the golf bag are just so much greater with a guy like Trey Lance. You can just see it. You can, like, Mac Jones will never have the ability to run like Trey Lance.
Sure.
You're like, yeah, but what if it all doesn't work? What if
exactly?
What
What if he's really not good at any of the clubs?
Yes.
And Mac Jones has like 4 or 5 clubs where you go, whoa, he's phenomenal with those clubs. I mean, you take the pitching wedge out and the 6-iron and, you know, and the 3-wood, and Mac Jones is amazing, right? Where, okay, yeah, Trey Lance has all these clubs and he can do everything a little bit, but which one's he good at? I mean, he hits the 3-wood, it's in the fairway. He hits the pitching wedge, it rolls off the green, right? You know what I mean? So, you know, that's where the nuance is, and hopefully that's where people listen to me and like me or whatever. Not that I'm always right, but as I always say, that's what I'm here to do, is to dissect that kind of crap. That's the kind of stuff I'm obsessed with. That's why I love the job. It really is, and that's why the homies... At least our homies trust me.
Lee Eisen has a question that we already discussed on who would move up more if this was future looking and not just based on 1 year. But I wanted to read. Oh, and Pete says who would fall the most, perhaps, in this one. So I guess we didn't look at the negative side of it. So Lee Eisen, who would fall the most if this was more than just for one season?
Gosh, so you're saying like
I guess the old dudes.
The old dudes.
Like if it was. I mean, Stafford would fall. I mean,
we're saying overall, pick them for the next 5 years. Who would fall the most? Is that what we're kind of saying there?
This is your only quarterback. If this guy gets hurt or retires, you have no quarterback.
Yeah.
So
Stafford I mean,
would
listen,
fall.
I don't want Kirk Cousins for the next 5 years, right? I don't, right? I think we're coming to the end of the list.
I mean, Dak, I think you're a number 8 quarterback.
He might fall a little bit.
He'd fall a little bit.
A little bit, yep. But I don't think it's going to be to an extent to where it'll be drastic. Of course, Rodgers would fall in that list.
He's
right?
off the list.
He's probably off the list. Exactly right. Yeah, Geno would be one. Pete's in my ear saying Geno, and I don't disagree with you there. Geno's
would Derek Carr be off the list?
Probably. I mean, or at least way down it. I mean, yeah, way down it. I think I think that's kind of where you look at it, and I kind of would look at those guys as being the ones that would be the fallers.
Ageist. We're ageist.
Yeah, we're
ageist,
question. Right? Ageism.
Lee goes, P.S. Enjoy the well-earned vacation, smoky, drinky.
You know it. I will be doing that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Lee. You the man. I hope you too. Have a good summer, and hope you do some drinky, smoky as well.
Yeah, if that's what you do in your life.
If that's what you do. If not, and it's just protein shakes and Cliff Bars, then do that too.
Ski Star 29 says, I think Allen should be ahead of Mahomes. Oh, we've got a challenger. You base these rankings on if you want these quarterbacks for a win-now situation next year. Allen had a very good year, and Mahomes was down. Allen works amazing with less, and Mahomes was struggling to make the passing attack that we have seen before.
Hey, listen, it's a very, I understand his points. I don't think he's crazy in some of the things he's saying there. I don't. Now, and really, in a lot of ways, they have similar strengths and flaws in a lot of ways, like you've heard me say. I mean, Mahomes and Allen both can get a little impatient, can both be like, hey, wait, I haven't made a highlight play here in a while. Screw the easy completions. I need to do something cool and fun, right? So they both can fall into that to a degree. Now, where I would say this is like, again, if you took top-level play, all right, I would go, yeah, Allen's might have had more consistent top-level play last year. But I don't think it's so much so, right, that you're going to wipe away some of the other things we're going to talk about. And I think what you got to remember, too, like we talked about the other day, Mahomes has a few guys that he can start to trust and throw the ball to, and they can frame that offense around him. I think it looks a little different, let alone if some of those catches that were made, like we talked about, they're 13-4 or 14-3, right? I mean, it was that close to us kind of viewing it differently. And let me just say this, too. With those drops, it wasn't like it was like a 3rd-and-3 slant route drop. Right? Like the Detroit game at the start of the year, it was like 150 yards that were left on the field. It was like, whoa, he's going to run for a 70. He's wide open down the middle. He's going to run another 40 yards for a 70-yard touchdown.
Well, and the one turned into a pick six.
And one turned into a pick six. Right. There was 3 or 4 plays in that game that I'd go, that was that they make those catches. Kansas City wins. His quarterback rating's 130. He's got 3 touchdowns and 380 yards throwing, right? So that we can't forget that aspect of it. But I think the difference, too, what I would say, is Allen just fell also into the trap of being a little more reckless than Mahomes last year, right? Mahomes, for the most part of the year, played the game pretty clean. He did. Now, he got a little unlucky, and he had a few of the Raiders game at the end of the year where he got impatient, and there was a few other spots. But, I feel like with Allen, he hit a few more of those bumps in the road. And then, again, what I also take into account with a close one like this, hey, the effects on your team, what your team does, the belief, right? Your ability to lead, your ability to make unbelievable throws in the biggest moments. And that's where Mahomes does separate himself a little bit from really everybody.
You were talking about how Dak Prescott had only 4 regular season games where he had a quarterback rating of 95 or less.
Right.
I looked at Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He had that 11 times. And a lot of that was because of the interceptions. Those will kill your quarterback rating. But he had 11 games where he was below 95. So that speaks to the
exactly.
up and down nature.
It was up and down nature, right? Trying to force a few too many throws, the fumbles as well this year. Of course, there's just too much on him. But like, hey, at Ski Skystar 29, like, you're not crazy with your thoughts there. I do want to make sure. And as I said during my last thing, I mean, Josh Allen is the most physically gifted quarterback in football right now, right? But the other guy is also really physically gifted. He's nipping on Josh Allen's heels, let alone he's got a clutchness and an aura and an ability to lead his team right now that I think is really special.
And for those who don't remember, in 2022, so just 2 years ago, you did have
Josh Allen as
number 1,
right,
over Patrick Mahomes.
There was really in the Mahomes era. There's 2 years where you could really argue that, really probably, there was another year I think I probably should have had Allen 1. I gave Mahomes still 1, I think. And I really felt like there was like 2 year period where
2021 maybe?
Yeah, I think it was. I think that was the year I'm thinking of where I go, there was 2 years there where I should have had probably Josh Allen 1, and I gave Mahomes probably a little bit of like he's won the Super Bowl and a few more big games and gave him the bump. But as the year was done, I remember thinking like, Allen's kind of outplayed Mahomes for the last 2 years. But again, right now, that's not the case.
All right, so we have a question now from Third and Mahomes,
right.
So a Chiefs fan, is asking about Joe Burrow. Goes, if Joe Burrow gets hurt and misses more than a few games again this year, how would it affect your ranking for next year? So this is a bitter Chiefs fan.
It would. It would definitely affect it, right? It almost affected it this year. It kind of a little bit was like, damn, I mean, these injuries, it is a little concerning.
And one of it's like an appendix, but after a while,
you start to go, is it something? I don't know. Is the guy cursed? Whatever.
He's
right?
not physically imposing, so it's like...
Yep. But no, I think if it did happen again next year, right? Yeah, I think it would dock him. The thing I think he has in his favor, I mean, of course he's special. We know that Lamar also has had to deal with the injury bug the 2 years before that, right, as I discussed. I mean, the 2 years before that, he missed both Decembers. One of those years, they still went to the playoffs without him, right? But that is definitely something I thought about with Burrow. And then you look at a guy like, Herbert, who's not hurt very often, and some of these other guys are not. It has the possibility of hurting Burrow.
So we have a a comment from one of the homies
Yeah.
that is disputing the name of one of our tiers.
Yeah.
The unicorn tier. Seaside Joe News says, I love the implication that the definition of a unicorn is, quote, something that there's many, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 of, instead of the typical explanation that unicorns are one of one. Which I don't think that is necessarily the definition of a unicorn, right?
Well,
my daughter loves unicorns. They're everywhere in her books. There's not just one unicorn out there.
They got to reproduce somehow.
Exactly.
I don't know. They don't just pop out babies by themselves, do they? So
there's more than one unicorn out there.
And again, I don't like the unicorn phase, right? I mean, damn, those guys are special. I don't know what else to say.
Well,
They're worthy of that.
So the one thing there was some pushback on Lamar being 4.
Yeah.
In the unicorn category, because you could describe
Yeah,
Lamar
as that
Jackson
being
as
there
a
too.
unicorn,
I get
right?
ya.
He's a special.
I get
He's
ya.
different. He's one of
Definitely.
a kind. He's one of one.
Definitely.
But we have a question here from the Derek Quinn.
Yeah.
He says, don't think Lamar should be above Stafford. Oh, so this is going the opposite direction. Lamar is great in the regular season, but has not been elite in the playoffs. Stafford has shown it in the biggest moments to get it done. Lamar has not been good in those. This top 40 is who gives the best chance to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, those are valid arguments. And again, it's another one where I'm not going to sit here and go, hey, you're crazy to think that, right? Obviously, I don't quite think that. Okay, I think Stafford. Yes, he had some of the same issues Lamar had at a basic level until he got to what? Oh, a coach that's awesome with offense and a culture and everything helped him out that way. Lamar, that is the big question, right? That's why I got mad at him for missing OTAs a few weeks ago. I'm going, damn, and all of years where you were this close to getting the Super Bowl, right? You won a playoff game and all of that. This is not the time you go, wait, I'm going to miss some OTAs because we've made it. This is the time where you double down and push even harder and go, damn, we were so close, and I'm going to make sure we don't fall short this year. Come on, guys, I'm here every day. I don't miss OTAs. I make my own OTAs and tell everybody to show up. That's what you do. I mean, that's where I was mad at it, right? So, but I do think, Derek Quinn, you're not giving Lamar quite the credit he deserves as a passer and a thrower. He wasn't necessarily in a quarterback-friendly passing offense early on in his career. That's not the way they played. It's not Greg Roman's strength. He's a run game genius. This was his first year doing this, and I still think there's a number of plays, right, where I would go, hey, Matt Stafford, he had to throw the ball away, he had to get sacked, or he had to throw the ball in the flat because he was about to hit, and I go, Lamar escaped and got out and ran for 40 or threw a 30-yard laser or whatever else. And those are, like, again, where I'm saying Stafford, yes, plays the position better, knows where to get the ball out when in danger or there's problems, right, and all of that. Those are things Lamar can get better at. But it's not so much better that I'm willing to wipe away some of the other stuff that we've seen, where Lamar can just take over a game and did it a number of times last year, or I just go, this is unbelievable, right, what he's doing. They have no answers for him, and there's nothing they can do. That's where he's special. But again, Derek Quinn, you made some good points. I don't deny that.
You had both those guys ahead of Justin Herbert, who was number 6 on this year's list. The big old catfish. I'll see how you dispute this one. Justin Herbert has to be the most overhyped, done-nothing quarterback since Phillip Rivers.
Well,
tough to
I don't know why. Well, I mean, we know why. And, of course, hey, part of this is him and why he is 6. The talent is towards the top of football. We know that regardless. But it's those marquee moments. What's the marquee Justin Herbert game, right? As I kind of say to people on the radio, his marquee game is a loss of the last game of the year to the Raiders, right? A few years back when they didn't get in the playoffs, but he made a lot of amazing throws, right? His other marquee game is blowing a 27-point lead in Jacksonville in a wild card game, right? So, there definitely needs to be some more of those moments. And like we talked about, him taking over games a little bit more or imposing his will on another team just a hair more compared to the other quarterbacks. But at the same time, too, what about them do you think in that culture and what they've had there, do you think at big old catfish was supposed to happen? I mean, his defense has been horrible. They can't run the ball for Jack Diddley's squat. And I would also say that, I'd be one to tell you that I think their receivers were a hair overhyped the last few years there, I like Keenan Allen. Don't get me wrong, but he's not scaring people or keeping them up at night. Like
Mike Williams was hurt.
Mike Williams was hurt, so that hurt
Slater
him last
was hurt
year.
on the offensive line.
Exactly right. And we know they can't run the ball. So he hasn't had anything to really help him out a whole lot, is what I'm saying. And that's all I'll say, big old catfish. Is just don't forget that. Like my argument, and like you always hear me say, right? And this is, I love to play this game. You don't think Justin Herbert would have led the NFL in passing yards if he played for the Miami Dolphins? Well, I think it'll look a little different. I think that game in Kansas City, if Justin Herbert's the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, it ain't 24-7. I know that, right? So some of that too, you got to remember what's around you. Don't go into the overhyped stuff, just because of the final record or stats or anything like that.
So
stats don't mean crap to me.
Correct.
Yes.
I agree with that.
I know.
I mean, not
to a degree.
We have talked about quarterback rating. It's a baseline.
Right. It's a baseline.
I'm just trying to stick up for stats here a little bit. C.J. Stroud is your next big man crush. And speaking of overhyped, I mean that is another name I think too here. Where it's like you love him, and we all saw it last year. Will he take a step back this year? Wouldn't be unheard of. Wouldn't be a shock. @Levin Airy says, if the Simms quarterback countdown went back through all of NFL history, would there be any second-year player ranked as high as C.J. Stroud? Ooh. Who else would be high on the list? So Pete looked it up.
Yep.
So not technically his second year, but Mahomes went from 30th.
I made him 30th the year he didn't play.
30th. Yeah.
Right. And people were like, you're crazy. He hasn't even played. You're 30. And I think I went on Dan Patrick because they were the ones that kind of gave me some crap about it. And I was like, well, shit, I should have made him 1. I don't know what I was thinking. But
yeah, you had him behind him. Looking back, this is your first list over at Bleacher Report in 2018. You had him behind Josh McCown, Jacoby Brissett. You had him behind Tyrod Taylor, Mitch Trubisky, Sam Bradford.
Yeah, so he hadn't played, but I made him 30.
Yeah.
Thinking I was really being, bold.
I mean, you were.
I was.
You were.
I got a lot of crap for it. But to answer the question here, right, and where are we here? Oh, okay, I got you. Is that second-year players ranked as high as C.J. Stroud. Marino would be in that close to that. I don't know if they'd be quite there, right?
Yeah, where was Herbert for you after his great?
He was probably 7, maybe. He might have been right up there. I don't know if it was too much farther down. Maybe 8 or 9. I can't remember exactly. But he was probably pretty high up there.
So Justin Herbert was 11th in 2021.
Okay, so the 11th I made him after that rookie year.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think the thing where what the hell was I getting to here? Yeah, I don't know.
Year.
I don't know if there's
not many. I mean, it's the same
else.
players that we talk about who had the best rookie season.
It really is, right? And I think that's the ones we're hitting on. And again, I think Mahomes is probably the closest thing to it, even though it's not exactly the right way there because Mahomes sat that first year.
A question from @Travis M. Fruling says, love watching you guys. Thank you, Travis. Can you explain why Jordan Love is sandwiched between 2 older, less mobile quarterbacks? Love has the mobility factor and is more aggressive than Kirk and Aaron, and why, other than the aggressive factor, is Kirk ranked over Aaron? So we're finding here that the homies have differing opinions, which
great.
But they're all kind of around the edges here because they're all guys that you have pretty close together.
Yeah, so this is one of the toughest parts here, right? And the Jordan Love, why is he sandwiched between 2 older, less mobile quarterbacks? Again, I don't try to look at it and do things like that, right? I'm not like, this guy's. Listen, I'm just going by what I think. Who's the better quarterback right now, and all they bring to the table, and let me weigh that out and see which one I think's better, right? That was one where, Jordan Love's physical ability is greater than both of them right now, in my opinion, right? But still, with Love being aggressive, still not on the level of Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers and trying to read a defense, being that next level decision maker quite yet, which I wouldn't expect him to. It's still early on in his career. He's young, I guess, so he's not there yet. But the reason where it's sandwiched is because Cousins plays the game at a cleaner, higher level than Jordan Love, let alone he is aggressive, even though his talent is not as good as Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers is the opposite. again, he can do some things and read a defense and get to a check and, see some things that Jordan Love can't. But within that, he turns down completions down the field all the time. So, there is one where, Cousins plays and Rodgers plays a little bit better than Jordan Love as far as overall game, right? But Rodgers leaves plays on the field or doesn't pull the trigger. Jordan does. So that gave me the edge there. And Kirk Cousins, even though the talent is maybe not as good as that, he gets more out of what he is than Aaron Rodgers does at times right now. That's what I would say. Let alone he's kind of like, next level thinker, decision maker. Like I said, really Joe Burrow's the only one that's faster at diagnosing a defense and getting to the right read and doing that. And that's where I just gave him a little bit of a nudge there over Jordan Love.
I mean, this is also difficult, right? Because it's basically like,
I explained that clearly. Was that clear?
So. What do you like better? Do you like hamburgers or cake? You're like, there's two totally different things, and there's some things I like about one, but that I don't like about the other. But there are a lot of comments about Brock Purdy, who you had at 17.
Right.
And I was watching a clip from Fox Sports where Nick Wright was loving the fact that you had him at 17. They showed a clip from this show.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Where I think he has been lower on Brock Purdy than maybe other people want him to be. And so he is embracing you as part of now his crew. So I think there's a tweet here from Zay What You Want, if you want to start with that. Zay What You Want says, Chris Simms is now done trolling Eagles fans. He is now heading to San Francisco. And so I believe this is accompanied with a tweet or a tag of some sort. But there are 49er fans that feel like now you have turned your ire from Jalen Hurts and Tua.
It's gone full circle.
Oh, there you. Is that supposed to be you?
I guess I'm trolling. I'm trying.
You're driving the troll.
Trolling.
Oh, I get it. You're driving the troll car, the troll Jeep.
Yep,
looks like a Wrangler. Throughout San Francisco.
First off, I don't look to troll anybody, and if anybody heard me during the season, I don't think anybody would be too shocked with what I ranked him if anybody was a regular listener.
Correct.
I mean, I think I was always trying to tell people, hey, he's really good. Am I willing to say he's one of the 8 or 10 best quarterbacks in football? I was always on here kind of telling you, no, I don't think that, right? So
Alan Byrne kind of sums it up here.
Right.
Let me
yeah,
give his.
Go ahead.
He goes, just wondering why, after a year and a half of Purdy playing better at a better level, and after a serious injury than a year of Jordan Love is ranked higher.
Yeah. Well, again, Jordan Love, what he did at the end of the year and all of that. I mean, again, the last 10 weeks of the season. Right? I mean, they took the training wheels off. He played at a phenomenally high level, right? And really was asked to do more, definitely on a physical basis, right? Now, is he quite where, Purdy is as far as diagnosing a defense and having feel and instincts to get to a place a hair quicker, right, than Jordan Love? Yeah, Purdy's better at that, for sure. But Jordan Love ain't bad at that. It's not bad. I mean, Jordan Love, I know other than those last damn 2 throws we saw, you'd go, wow, there's a lot of good decisions, high-level decisions. And there's a lot of plays that Green Bay can call in their offense that the 49ers cannot. And again, what I'm trying to say to you, like we showed a highlight package yesterday of Purdy on our PFT show. And the thing that I always come away with is go, look, there's no defenders in the screen on some of them. And we're going, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And I'm going, guys, it's not that amazing. Really, they were in a room all week, and Shanahan said, hey, we're drawing up this play, and it's going to screw them over, and this guy's going to be so wide open, it's going to be a touchdown. And we have fans that are putting that stuff on a pedestal, like, he's the only guy in football that could do that. He's the only guy that could listen to Shanahan say, throw to this guy, he'll be open, and he did it, right? And they have a lot of that in their offense. So that's where, again, this is a tough spot, right? But I'd fall into the comment again of with Jordan Love. If Jordan Love played in the Super Bowl, the 49ers would be the Super Bowl champions. That's what I would say.
Wow.
He would make some of those throws that I'd go, wait, just hop and do this, and he's open. It's a touchdown. Why do we have to keep staying here just because our body has to be in the position to throw this guy? And he's not even capable of doing some of that stuff. So, again, it's really good. I don't want to get messed up.
Above average starting quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, yes, he's damn good, but there's some things still, like if you went back, okay, Jordan Love had the 2 interceptions at the end of the game. Jordan Love in that game played better than Brock Purdy. I mean, Brock Purdy should have thrown 7 interceptions in that game. He got lucky that night. We'd all be talking differently if there's Green Bay could catch. I mean, it was not a good night, let alone right? That game, there's other games too. Again, what bothered me about it more than anything is when the Shanahan specials, and you know how I like to talk like that, when they weren't working on all cylinders, right? There's not a lot that Purdy does to bring the offense back up. Now, he does more than Jimmy Garoppolo used to do, and it's definitely an improvement in that in all areas, but it's still, I'd like to see some more. And like I told you too, there's more missed throws than people realize. If we went back and watched games and stuff, I'd go, yeah, I mean, this is a missed throw. But nobody cares because Shanahan dialed up a play, and they're so good. Somebody's wide open the next play for a 40-yard gain. And I'm just going to go, a lot of teams in football, quarterbacks don't have that luxury of going, damn, I missed a wide open 30-yard throw. No big deal. Guy will be open the next drive. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks go, that might have been my only time all game to have anybody open downfield. Oh, shit, I missed it, right? So those are things you got to take into account, and those are the things that jump out to me when I watch 180 throws, 210 throws in a row. You start to see that stuff.
The funny thing is, if 2 years ago you would have said Brock Purdy is the 17th best quarterback in the NFL, people would have said you're crazy.
I can't
He's the last
win,
pick of the draft.
And it drives me crazy. It's like I told you with the Jalen Hurts thing. I mean, last year I'm crazy. He's the best quarterback in football. This year I make him 9. You're crazy. He's lower than that. I've gotten that more than anything. And I'm like, what? No. And I think the truth is somewhere in between. I think it's actually where I got him ranked. Last year was 7. This year's 9. I think that's where it is. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Jalen Hurts because the next question comes from Curious AI 3.
Yeah.
Says, how would the ranking change if the hypothetical team has the best offensive coordinator versus a below average offensive coordinator? For example, with Shanahan, I would probably rather have Purdy today than Hurts. But with Brian Johnson, I would rather have Hurts than Purdy. Thoughts?
There is that. He's right about that. Right. That's why we try to take that out of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we try to take that aspect out of it. But no, you're exactly right. There's some systems or whatever else here, if we were just going to place it system-based, right, where I might have a guy and go, oh, no, this guy's, the 6th best quarterback in football. But, you put him, you want me to list it for this system? Oh, maybe he's 13 now for this, right? Like Kirk Cousins running the Brian Johnson thing. If he had to do that, he might be lower than 12, right?
Like Tua, like in the Miami offense. We've talked about this before.
Right.
Is to the man to run that offense that they want to run, the quick, point guard. I mean, they need a point guard
yes,
to run that.
That's right.
So Tua's one of the best quarterbacks to run that offense.
He's one of the best at doing that, right. And then we could equally go, well, damn, we put him up in Buffalo, and now he's got to throw 20-yard out routes into the wind and the cold weather. Tua's way down the list. I don't want him on that quarterback depth chart, right? So that is part of it, and that's what I try to sort through and try to make fair, right? And that's why I say, hey, my offense has a little bit of everything, and I'm just going to go with the guy that I think is the best player, and then my offense will be able to curtail to that guy and his strengths and weaknesses from there.
It's a good question here from Jacob Demian.
Woo.
Says, do you think the days
guys
of teams...
Guys are putting me under the gun here. I don't want to get angry. I hope I didn't sound angry for any of them.
No, you didn't.
Okay, all right.
I mean, you're splitting hairs here, which is what you had to do.
I get animated, and sometimes I think people think I'm angry or pissed at a guy that's asking a question on Twitter, and I'm not. That's just me. That's
but
who
if
I
you
am.
were to get angry,
Right.
I think the homies would see that as like a badge of honor. They're like, cool.
They might
got
be.
Chris going. We like that. We like when Chris is going. Jacob Demian, maybe you'll get mad at Jacob. Do you think the days of teams having a mid-level quarterback and winning the Super Bowl are dead? We have seen Purdy and Jimmy G get to the Super Bowl in recent years, but are unsuccessful. It seems you need to have a top 5-ish guy.
I will say, and I love this is a great question, Jacob. I don't know. 5 years ago, I would have been like, Jacob, build the team, right? But I've definitely swayed a little bit more into the way the game is right now, the way the league is right now, the rules, right? Some of the talented receivers we got on every team and all of that. I definitely tend to sway that way a little bit more than I maybe used to, right? I do, because again, I think with some of these great quarterbacks right now, they're capable of doing special things. I would argue, as we did before, I don't think the Chiefs were better than the 49ers in either Super Bowl, right? But the Chiefs were, like we're talking about with our rankings, it wasn't so much so that Mahomes couldn't close the gap and then make it look like Chiefs are better, right? And so that's where. Like, you need to be a special team now, I think. You need to be Seattle 2013, right?
Which is
because Russell Wilson wasn't a top-tier quarterback at that point,
Yeah.
but that was a special defense, game-changing, right? You got to be the Broncos of 2015. I mean, again, Peyton Manning, definitely one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the history of football, threw 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions that year, right? Least rated quarterback in football. They won the Super Bowl. So you're going to have something truly, truly elite special to make up for that.
To your point,
yeah.
there may be fewer of those teams now than there were 10 or 20
harder,
years ago.
Right, because of the salary cap.
You've called the Eagles a super team, though.
They were very close. You're exactly right. Very close, right? And again, some of these teams we're talking about and these coaches and everything, I want to go, these are champions. These guys are champions. They're just dealing with a unreal, godly champion in the Chiefs and Mahomes right now, right? It's like I talk about like the Knicks of the 90s. I'm always like, those are the championship teams. Karl Malone is a champion, and John Stockton. They just had to play the greatest player in the history of basketball or any sport ever, and they couldn't beat him. So that's what sucks. But yes, I think you're right though. I think that's where the last 20 years with the salary cap and things being so even, that's where the quarterback now does push you over the top.
Right.
Back in the other days, we could have, hey, it's the Ravens and Trent Dilfer, no problem. Hey, Phil Simms, he can beat John Elway in the Super Bowl. It's not a problem,
It's
right?
the Giants and Eli Manning.
But it's so there's a lot of that. But you're right. We're not seeing those teams that have that maybe truly, truly special thing like the Legion of Boom or that 2015 Broncos defense that was literally some weeks winning games by itself.
Which would make sense is why quarterbacks are making $50 million.
I
the
think
good
so.
ones, right?
Exactly
it would not make sense to pay them that much unless you thought that was worth it.
It's like we got into the conversation a little bit the other day, right? With them when we got into Mahomes. How many times do I have to hear, I mean, we can play with them. We're as good. I mean, we're going to have the lead in the fourth quarter. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if we can actually win though, because he's there and he's all comfortable with the game being a 1-score game, and that's where we're at, and that is the value of that quarterback. It's a great question though. There, Curious AI 13.
So we did not get mad at you, Jacob. Maybe Jason will get mad
Jacob
at you.
Or Jacob Denman too. Demian. They both were good. I was trying to get to both of them.
Jason Bilyeu. This is the next question. Which quarterback from 25 to 30 would you put your money on to be in the top 10 next year? Love the rankings and the pod.
Yep.
Keep up the great work. So this is a good section of your rankings because it is Justin Fields, Will Levis, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and then you have J.J. McCarthy.
So 25 through 30, which ones do I see that can make it?
If you had to pick one,
Yeah.
most likely to be in the top 10.
The top 10.
You might think it's unlikely for any of them.
Yep, but no. I mean, I think I would think it would be Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is certainly the talent, and then has some receivers, and I think a system that's going to fit him.
So he'll look good. His talent will be able to shine.
And he could explode. He's a good thrower. He's a good decision maker. And then, of course, we know his running ability is already going to be up there in the top 4 or 5 in all of football right off the bat. I don't need to see him play one down. I already know that. So that would probably be the guy that jumps out to me at that little spot right there if you made me pick one.
Do you think Bo Nix, who is right behind Jaden Daniels, has the ceiling of a top 10 guy?
I do. The Bo Nix, as we talked about during the breakdown and the draft and all that, it's a stronger arm than people realize. And you know me with my value. I'm big into off schedule. Nothing's there. What do you make happen? And I thought scrambling, not running, scrambling, and then making a throw behind the line of scrimmage, he was only second to Caleb Williams in that department. And usually the guys in the top 10 and stuff like that, they do a lot of that stuff we're talking about right there.
We got a question from Benjamin Petrick about his beloved Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
I got to ask, as a tired Panthers fan, would Bryce Young have been a first-rounder this year? Where would he fall in the draft quarterback rankings? So this is a good hypothetical. Because say that we know what we know about Bryce. We saw this year with the Carolina Panthers. And for whatever reason, the Panthers are like, we want to throw him back in the draft. So Bryce Young goes back in the draft after what we saw this year.
Oh, if after what we saw this year, then no, he's not getting in the first round.
But would people hold that against what happened in Carolina? Would that really drop him from first overall to out of the first round?
I don't know about out of the first round.
That's
You're
right
about
so what
that.
do we think?
Right, I thought we were going to play it more like, hey, he was at Alabama this past year still, and now he's going to come out.
I don't think that, well, because we were all high on him, so I think he would definitely be a first. If he was the number 1 overall pick last year, that seems to reason that he would be a top pick again this year. So I think we take what we saw this year.
Okay. Yeah, he's still going to go in the first round.
Behind who? Who goes ahead of him? Caleb goes ahead of him. Jaden goes ahead of him. Does Drake May go ahead of him?
I mean, probably, but I wouldn't. I don't know if I would have done that.
Yeah.
But I think everybody. I feel like everybody would have. Everybody would go in front of him. So I would. Again, the problem with the Bryce Young thing. And I like his game and all that, but you know me and what I said a little bit. There is so much overwhelmedness in the film, right? Where it just shows, and you almost feel bad at times in certain games. You're just going, man, he's just trying to survive. He's trying to survive. He's trying not to be the total disaster. He's trying not to ruin the game for his teammates. You feel a little bad for him. And, of course, that wasn't the greatest help either. I understand that. But, yeah, I like the prospects of what these guys are, their physical attributes, let alone they can play the position and have some of that sixth sense that everybody was waxing so poetically about. Like, again, I know I had Bryce Young second in my draft rankings, right? And I don't like to make changes. But I knew I let my draft rankings out because usually I'm one of the first to do that. I knew within that next month, the 3 weeks, that Bryce Young, I should make him lower. I knew it. Not only by just more digesting it, seeing the pro day, everything that way, but when I started to have my friends and teams around NFL start to tell me about Anthony Richardson, right? Because my question with Anthony Richardson is he raw? Does he know how to play quarterback? Can he figure all that out? But then when I had teams like, literally, I had like 3 teams in a week go, dude, you know who's impressive? And I'm like, who? And they're like, Anthony Richardson. Like, he is the man, the meeting room, the leader, the person. He loves football, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I was like, well, shit. I should have made him too. Because, I was never in love with the Bryce Young skill set or the size that bothered me. I would have a hard time drafting a guy like Bryce Young.
If only we could go back in time. We cannot do that. But we can still play these hypothetical games, which is what Real Ben Maynard wants to do. Real Ben, hello. Welcome to the pod. If you could switch any quarterback on any team and let them play out an entire season, who would you like to see and why?
Jeez, causing problems, going to piss people off everywhere. Okay, well, my first thought went to Mahomes on the 49ers. Okay. That was my first.
Kyle would probably want to see that too. It might be his first answer.
Please, I don't want to play him in the Super Bowl. I'd love for him to join my team one time.
We're just curious. We just want to know what it would look like.
What would it look like?
It's for science.
How much less blood pressure would I have if he was my quarterback instead of the other way around, right? That's one for sure. Right. I think about almost any of the top guys on the Dolphins. How can you not? The genius of that offense, the weapons they have, everything there. Right. A Burrow and the Dolphins offense. Are you kidding me? Right. Matthew Stafford, him too, whatever. That's where my mind goes to the great quarterbacks who are not necessarily in the great offense. The other one, I would think like Josh Allen in Philadelphia. I'd love to see that. Yeah. Again, I think he's every bit as good a runner as Jalen Hurts. There's no doubt. And you know what I think of him as a passer and all of that, right? Those are some that jump to my mind.
Along those lines, I would kind of like to see Jalen Hurts in Houston in a more demanding situation for the quarterback.
Okay. You show you like a little reversal there, where it's on him to make the throws and be that way a little bit more. Yeah, I hear you. I'm
just so
with
we
you
could
there.
see it, we wouldn't have to talk about hypotheticals anymore. Put Tua in one of those situations too, where it's a little more demanding on the quarterback.
Well, that's sure. I think it's a good point by you, right? Because it's like, what would it look like if Tua had to be in one of these cold weather, I got to throw the ball down the field a little bit more into tight window type of offenses,
or even like Tua in say like Tampa Bay, so not even the cold weather, just like who's better, Baker Mayfield or Tua. on that team.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, yes, again, now within that system and what they do, for sure, taking Baker Mayfield, my thoughts there. But yeah, I think it's always an interesting game to play that. And, again, that's where I defend some of these talented quarterbacks sometimes where, for whatever reason, people don't think, oh, they're talented, so they couldn't go with this coach and be coached and learn easy tricks to throw to wide open people. And I'll be like, are you kidding me? Like, again, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, they're as smart as anybody in the game. You could put them anywhere, and they're going to, Shanahan, McVay, McDaniel, they're not anything that they can't learn or figure out or anything that way. Right? So that's where it's like, that's where I get a little exhausted with that, the Purdy, the 49er situation and all that.
All right, we're going to do a couple more questions here. I'm trying to look for the best ones.
The good ones?
Yeah, which, let me see here. I like this one here, like a hypothetical. I like living in this hypothetical land right now. Jared Cambridge says, Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Say he throws he did throw for 4,000 yards last season, and he ain't even better than Jarrett Stidham. I guess that's not a hypothetical, but I'll throw that question to you anyway. The guys at the bottom of the rankings, too, plug and play mentioned up Drew Lock as well. And
they
some
were
of those
tough,
guys.
man. They're see, so again, that's where I'm not always about talent, right? You got to be able to play the position the right way, too, right? I feel pretty good that Jarrett Stidham would not throw in about half the interceptions Sam Howell would have thrown last year, or taken about half the sacks, right? So Sam Howell was definitely like the gift and the curse. There was some wow plays, but there was too many what plays or whoa, or you're through that. And then again, the no arm angles, one of the slower releases, but he was still just on the outside on the looking in, right? Drew Lock has more talent than some of the guys at the end of this ranking as well. But again, I've only seen a few games where I can go, oh, I trust him, right? I mean, before that, he was not trustworthy. Those are the issues there, too. So that's kind of the discussions you get into with some of those guys. It kind of goes back to that earlier discussion of, like, talent and playing the position. Yeah, I see high-end talent was maybe some of the guys I had at the bottom of the list or everything there, that. But I also would go, I'd be scared to call some plays on 3rd and 9 because I don't know what might happen. So that you don't make the pecking order that way, right? So that's what I got to take into account when I do this as well.
We'll finish off with this one. This one comes from Big Chiefer 92. Says, thanks for reading my question on the pod. Maybe the next is he just assuming we're going to read his question on the pod? That's a great way to get your question read on the pod. Oh, that was a previous time Big Chiefer was on the pod. I was going to say, that's a great technique. Hey, thanks for reading this question. Be like, I guess we got to do it. Maybe the next draft special can feature Ahmed versus intoxicated Chris in a throwing challenge.
I like that. You get me, as I've always told you, get me intoxicated. And those first 45 to 50 minutes, you better watch out. I'm going to hit bullseyes and be on my game, right?
Yeah.
Now, after that, I don't know what'll happen. But, it's like I play friends in my backyard and like cornhole and stuff like that. And they're always like, oh, yeah, I want to play you now. You've been smoking and drinking. And I'm like, you better watch out because I have no conscience right now. You're right. I am the hole. Yeah. And all of a sudden they'll be like, holy shit, how you doing
see nothing
this?
Else but the hole.
Right. I start to go like into the drunk zone. I'm like, Argh.
That is a thing.
We've
talked about that before.
It is a thing. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But then you can go too far because then I can't have a time where I go, I'm in the zone. I'm like, give me another puff.
Yeah.
So I fill my tequila, honey. And then all of a sudden I don't hit the fucking board anymore. So there's a fine line.
The zone turns into a black hole and then you're gone. Right. You're missing there. So Big Chiefer, we'll see about that. It's usually not that great of weather outside. It's dark outside. We'll have to bring lights out there, but who knows? If I get my new grip working here, I got to learn here.
Yeah, you get your Tua with your Justin Fields motion going, you're going to be on fire.
All right, so that's that. That is the end. We will have one bonus pod that we're still doing right after we're done with this. So if you're like, why did Ahmed wear the red pants
twice
and Chris
in a row?
Wore the green polo 2 pods in a row? It's because we have a bonus for you guys.
A bonus pod, that's right. We got a little Bet the Edge with Jay Croucher and our man Drew Dinsick, excuse me.
We got time to practice.
We're going to kind of hit them on what to expect for the year, trends, betting, everything
props. Are there values
the props,
out there?
Which one's the values? We'll throw in our 2 cents. That's one area I'm interested to talk about them, and I do love kind of the value prop bets and things like that. Yeah. And that's one where I do when I think about gambling every now and then, and I'm like, it is like when I called Jacksonville 2 years ago. Watch out for or the calling out of the teams. I think there's always every year there's like 2 or 3 teams you can kind of put a star next to and go, I think we're going to see a dramatic change here.
Yeah.
You know, can you bet the right amount of money and does it hit and all work out?
Yeah, it's where public opinion is still
Yeah,
low on
exactly
this
right.
team or player or coach, and you're
Right.
like, nah, I think they're actually going to do quite well.
Yep. So check that out. And then, throughout the summer and stuff, I'll be doing some taping with Florio here and there and little things like that. We'll try to keep the content rolling to a degree, but we are going to a break and a hiatus. So you're not going to see us a ton until after the Olympics, right? The Olympics are going to dominate NBC Sports, Peacock, NBC in general here as we get towards the end of July. But then it's football time and we'll be back at it. You know where to find us. Subscribe, rate, and review. Really appreciate the homies and all, the questions on Instagram and X. Really appreciate that. Keep coming at us. I love that stuff.
We could not do this show without the homies.
We could not
quite literally,
do it without the homies.
If there were no listeners, they would tell us to stop doing it.
They wouldn't pay me anymore, right? So we need homies. We need red pants. That's what we are, okay? Subscribe, rate, review. You know where to find us. Peace out, homies. Be good out there. Be safe. Don't get yourself in trouble. Watch how much you smoky, drinky. Don't be stupid, all right? Peace out, homies. See ya. Yes, I am talking to myself. Pete's right. Peace out, homies. Clap it up. Yo, what's up? Thanks for watching, homies. You know it's the off season, but there's no off season with Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's the NFL. It goes all year around, all right? So hit subscribe, please, to hear my thoughts on your favorite team, your favorite quarterback, and, hey, how this season might unfold as we get ready for the 2024 season. We got a better picture, clearer look now that the draft is over, free agency. We know who's playing quarterback for certain teams. So, again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. Check you out soon.